Well, hello everyone. As everybody starts to roll in here, hope everybody is having a great new year. Let's see, we are already the 6th, right? So we are already 6 days to, what is that, roughly 2% of the year is already gone, a little less than 2%, maybe 1.75 for my fellow math people out there on that as far as a ratio standpoint. So today we are going to be really kind of peeling it back, and I really have a question for you guys. How many of you guys are actually setting goals? How many of you are actually operating with a plan? And rather than just saying these things, are you declaring them by writing them down? Have you created, really a blueprint for what your 2025 is going to look like, right? One of the beautiful things about construction is that blueprint process. You know exactly what's going to happen throughout the process if these blueprints are followed. And so I want to challenge you guys today to be thinking about your business just like this. If we follow these plans, these are the results, this is the structure, this is the house, the building that we are going to build when we execute these particular plans. So today, I want to actually take us through a little bit of a goal setting, business planning worksheet that we are going to hand off to you. We will make it available whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching this live in the Zoodealio Inner Circle private Facebook group. You'll have access to it there, as well as we will be able to email it out to the community. Like I said, if for some reason you are seeing this and you would like to get access to this and you're not finding that, feel free to email support@zoodealio.com and we will get you a copy of this worksheet. All right, so do me a favor, as it looks like people are rolling in here. Let me turn on the chat here. Here we go. And there. Okay. So I want to know how many of you do me a favor in the comments in the in the chat. Do you guys set your goals annually? Do you set them quarterly? Do you review them weekly or monthly, weekly, and even daily? I went through a process, several years ago that's kind of stuck with me, and it's a goal setting strategy. A lot of people know it as 411. Well, I actually kind of dialed that back and created, additionally a 1411, right? So going in, kind of reverse, that's what's your one annual goal, and we can start looking at specific areas. Then from there, how does that break down monthly? How does that break down weekly, the 4 weekly goals, right? What's your 1 year goal, 1 month goal, 4 weekly goal, the weekly goal, and then the 1 day goal. So giving you just kind of like a quick walkthrough of what that looks like, right, is, hey, I want to close a certain amount of deals, right? Now, maybe we know that summertime, quarter 2 is when things really start to uptick. So maybe Q1, we see the market start to load, and I need to make sure that I'm really doubling down on my contacts, following up with my prospects. All the people in September, November, or September, October, November, December said that they were going to be putting their house on the market, next year or early spring. We want to start making contact with those people now, right? So we don't miss out on those opportunities. So that's where we need to start looking at, okay, well, I want to list or do a certain amount of transactions. So let's say that you want to list 25 homes this year. Okay, so what that means is a lot of times we're going to need to be hitting the ground running of how many contacts do I need to be making every single month? How many listing appointments do I need to be going on every single month so that lines up with that particular goal, right? And then not only that, knowing my numbers from the past year, maybe 2 or 3 years of, hey, out of 3 listing appointments that I go on, I get 2 listings. Right? Or, maybe out of 4 listings, appointments I go on, I get 3 listings, right? So then from there, how many times do I need to put up, certain posts that create engagement? How many times do I need to make outbound reach attempts? How many times do I need to deploy marketing efforts so that I can capture those engagements and have warm conversations? And then from there, how many types of lists or new lead sources do I need, such as a canceled or an expired or likely seller list that are going to give you the amount of leads that you need to go onto those particular appointments, right? So this is where, again, we want to create the actual path versus just setting the goal and saying, hey, I'm going to do 100 deals this year. And, again, don't get me wrong. I get the whole statement of when my intention is clear, the, mechanism of how to reach that goal will appear. But I want to give you guys a pathway to set yourself up for success and really start setting the blueprint, like we were talking about before, of how are we going to build this building, how are we going to build this, house of crushing it, like all you guys are probably doing. All right, so thanks for a couple of people I see drop some comments in the chat there. So love it. For people that are setting goals. And taking action, on those things. So what I want to do is I want to take you guys through a walkthrough of this worksheet. Now, this again is a framework, right? So meaning that if you already have something that you want to break down differently, feel free, right? I'm happy to share the Word document that we created this in. That way it's editable. It's very simple. I'd imagine, this is not a locked document that we will share. You could copy and paste it in a Word doc yourself, so that you can edit it and make it your own and critique it. However, this is going to give you the baseline, right? And sometimes what I love about this is in order to know where we're going, we need to know where we've been, right? So in 2024, for a lot of us was a year of, I don't want to say retraction, because I know a lot of people that had a ton of opportunity, but the market overall did have a lot of retraction, right? There was not as many home sales, agents left the business, not as many houses on the market, prices across, pretty much across America, flatline. There wasn't a ton of appreciation. Again, when we had, borderline hyper price increase, the last several years, 23 and 24 was kind of healthy, that it was a little bit more chill when it comes to pricing. So here's the first thing I want you guys to do. I want you to take a look at what worked, right? What were the 3 things that you were going after that worked for you in your business? Now, I want to give you a real look at this too, right? So let's say, for example, that you had a goal of setting 25 listings and you only landed 20. Well, that doesn't mean that you're a failure, right? What that means is maybe you had maybe that was a huge lofty goal for you. Maybe you set a listing appointment or a listings goal of 200 or 100, and what you found was you went on 150 appointments and you weren't able to prepare as much as you needed to, right? So now that's one of the things that we need to start taking a look at is, hey, we're great at creating the opportunity, and I want to really increase my conversion. And in order for me to create the conversion that I need to create a better listing presentation. So I know I'm the best agent for the job of listing and selling your house. I'm bringing you, an option to sell your house instantly, which is great at starting a conversation. Right? We can jump into selling the house instantly, or we can put it on the market, test the market, and see how much more we can get in the time frame that we can get, right? Those are the types of frameworks that I want you to start thinking about. Now, on this too, right, it doesn't always have to be like a numbers thing, because one of the things, like I was just saying before, is possibly around the process that's setting yourself up for success. So there's going to be areas that you guys are going to be rock stars in your business, and there's going to be other areas that we need to probably polish, right? Just like anything that we do, you may be great at, A and B, but C and D need a little bit of work. So giving you guys an example on this is, I'll use the one that I just used a minute ago, is where maybe you guys are great at setting the appointment. But because you've been setting so many appointments and you're going on sometimes 2 or 3 listing appointments, a day or, maybe a week, well, maybe we're not getting the preparation that we need to be able to make sure that client feels like the number one client when you're there with them. So what are you going to do to peel that back to give a better experience, to show them in a very systematic process that you are the right agent for the job of selling their home? Right? So these are the kinds of things, like I said, I want you to do as you go through this, really kind of dial it back and see what's going on. So as you reflect, in step one here and going through this, what are those areas that worked? What are those areas that didn't work, right? Now on this too, I think this is a big one, right? One of my favorite statements out there is, well, I think it's like a Wayne Gretzkyism is, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? Kind of followed up with, aim at nothing and you'll hit it every time. Right, so these are the types of things that I wanted you guys to challenge yourself, right? So whether you're, a almost 20-year veteran, fortunately, unfortunately, like myself, or this is your first year in the business, the reality of it is we need to declare what we're going after so that we are on purpose, with our yearly, monthly, weekly, daily actions, right? And so these are the things that I want to challenge you guys to do that. So if you did not set goals in 24, right, acknowledge that. Hey, I wasn't very clear, and the results that I got were not clear. Or hey, I set a couple of goals and I got off track, and maybe I went through this goal setting process in January of 24, and I didn't keep my goals in front of me in a place that reminded me. Right? Maybe you set some things that were a little bit lofty and sounded good at the moment because you wanted to, you read in a book, reach high, shoot for the stars and fall in the sky, you're successful, right? I want to challenge your thinking to be a little bit more different this time. Like I said, I want you to be thinking about this blueprint, being able to review these particular plans, putting some, accountability friends, buddies, systems, Zoodealio, type partnerships in place to where you guys can really thrive and excel. Because, right, there's a lot of indicators that 25, at least the second half of 25, should really be a strong year, right? We'll see what happens with rates. We'll see what happens with a lot of things on an economic level. But there is no question that there is a ton of pent-up demand, right? 23 and 24 were both lower transaction years. Population has continued to increase. New builds, there's a lot of people that, from 21 and 22 that bought and don't love their house because there was such a scarcity of inventory, right? They want to get out of their house. Maybe these are the people that have the golden handcuffs of the lower interest rate. How are you going to solve that problem to help them to get from where they are to where they want to be and still operate within their financial budget? How are you going to be able to use these cash offer opportunities to create transactions, inspire more deals, right? How can you turn those buyers to cash, getting them better deals, right? There's just endless opportunities that I want you guys to start thinking about in your business as you dictate what you're going to go after this particular year. Okay, so I think sometimes, and I didn't put that together on this, when we were going through this, sometimes, what I personally do on these is, a lot of times I've done a lot of like vision writing where 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 25-year type vision. Sometimes it can get a little weird, like whatever comes to your imagination. As I was coached when I was going through these particular things, write it down. Sometimes when you journal, like, hey, what do I really want this particular year? You start looking at the, maybe it's more about time. Maybe it's more about an asset that actually is going to create a quality of life for you, such as like, hey, I want to buy a vacation home. I want to buy a cabin, right? Those types of things so that you can create that quality of enjoyment. So as you define your goals, right, what are the target gross commission income goals that are going to align and help you achieve those types of things, right? Because at the end of the day, money is a tool, right? It's a tool that helps us provide for our families, create quality of life. It doesn't necessarily always define us, but what it should do is be a tool that enables us to create more, to create, really the ability to almost kind of like peace, right, as I look at it. Anyway, I don't want to get too philosophical on it, so let me continue cruising along here. What is your average sales price going to be, right? So as we set the gross commission income goal, we need to be thinking about these two variables, right? What is my average sales price and how many transactions do I need to hit? So like, for example, let's say that your gross commission income goal is, $100,000 and your average sales price is, let's just say roughly $300,000, and from that you usually get about 2.8 being conservative on the commission standpoint, so that you get about, let's just say roughly $10,000, per every closing that you're doing on average. Well, that would mean that you need to do 10 transactions that year to achieve that goal, right? Just a simple math equation on that. I'm pretty sure everybody can break that down and figure it out, right? So, okay, so this is the part where I want us that you can go more granular on this. I wanted to keep this, not too overbearing for everyone. So as we go down to the monthly transactions, I want to challenge you guys to look at your particular markets, right? So those of you guys that have, watched me on YouTube before, been on my coaching calls, or interacted with me, know that I definitely pay attention to a lot of the trends, right? And so historically, more times than not, here are the trends that happen. Now, I want to tell you, please look at your local market. If you look at 24, obviously it was a little bit of a different year. 23 was a little bit of a different year. Candidly, ever since COVID, it's been a little bit different. But when we look at the historical data and we look at the last 5 years, right, what are the trends that I'm going to see in my particular market? Allow me to elaborate. What I mean is, when are the transactions going to hit the market? When are the sales going to happen? When are pendings going to spike? When is it going to slow down, right? When's the pullback? So typically what we see is, January and February, you see the market usually start to load, right? You start seeing, your lockbox activity pick up in February because of, houses coming and hitting the market. March, you usually start seeing the pendings climb, right? And closings climb. April and May, you start to see the closings, tick up, right? And then May, June, July, a lot of times, again, just because that's people's life cycle of, kids out of school, warmer in a lot of places, and they're moving that, right? So then we'll see the uptick usually all the way through, August, September usually starts to slow down a little bit. October's, usually pretty level. November is usually pretty chill, and then December, a lot of times there's actually usually a little bit of the end of the year push, right, for taxes, a lot of people and a lot of things that are going on. They'll start seeing some of those closings going up, right? So that's just kind of a loose, speculative cycle and trends of what we see on a year over year average when you look at that. So again, don't hold me to that for your particular area. Please go look in your MLS, pull your last year's trends, and you will absolutely be able to see the amount of listings that hit the market. You'll be able to see the pendings. You'll also be able to see the sales. Now, my fellow prospectors out there, I would also challenge you to look at, hey, when were those canceled and expireds too? When are those at their highest, so that you can start to know when to target, when you can gather those particular opportunities and start targeting them and show them how you're going to get their house sold in a time frame that makes sense for them. Okay. All right. So what are your focus areas, right? So now on this one, as we go through this, and after we kind of break down what does this look like, whether it be monthly. So let me actually take a step back, because one thing I want to make sure that I'm really clear on that I kind of went over quickly, is as we set our monthly transactions, let's say, again, just simple math here, if I'm going to do 25 transactions, right? So that's going to give me roughly 2 transactions a month that I need to do, right? Which would be 6 per quarter. Well, you need to think through this when you set this up, right? And again, this is where I want you guys to be able to break this down a little bit more, is know that Q2 is probably going to pop off for you a little bit more than Q1, right? So maybe you're going to do 3 transactions in that scenario that I just gave you or 4 transactions in 8 transactions in Q2 and only do 4 transactions in Q1, right? But that's still going to get you to that 50%. The way of the 25% of the 25 transactions, right? So just giving you like an example where look at that particular data so you could set yourself up for success, because what I don't want you guys to do is just throw a number, out there and then it's just kind of a loosey-goosey, airy-fairy number, and then you're very casual about it. And then, at the end of the year, when you have a goal of 25 transactions and you only did 15, it's not going to sting as much because you weren't really on purpose about it, right? I want you guys to be able to put yourself in check where you're looking at this from, an annual goal, a quarterly goal, a monthly goal, even down to the week and the day, right? Are my actions, are my intentions lining up with my particular goal that I'm setting, okay? So, now looking at my focus areas, right? Like what is my process, around these goals? What is my, the home sale goal, right? How is that dialing in? What does that look like, right? Okay, so now as we go down to start really looking at the blueprint part of it, right? So now we've kind of dictated and declared what we're gonna go after, what it's gonna look like. And I mean this from a business standpoint, right? And then as an FYI, those of you guys that are on this that, I'm speaking everything business, but of course this will absolutely translate to a personal goal or, even a financial goal, right? All of those types of things that are there. So use this as a framework in any way that you would like. Okay. So step 3, we want to define the audience. This is huge, right? Because again, like I said before, in order to know where we're going, we need to know where we've been. So what were your top lead sources, or what is a new lead source that you want to go after? Right? Like there's a lot of people that want to step into the online lead generation game, but they're very intimidated by it because they don't know what to do. They know it could spend a lot of money and get low results. Or is it maybe you're great at that, but you're a little bit more intimidated by bringing the conversation to somebody that that you haven't ever met. You don't know them, right? What does that look like? Maybe you want to step into the geographical farming. Right, you want to bring that presence and crush it in a subdivision, a zip code, right? You want to be that go-to agent. Those are the types of areas that you can, start looking at. Hey, maybe I want to add this in, but what were my top lead sources so that I know I have a predictive result, or I can predict my results of what I'm going to get from this particular lead source, right? So moving along here, next one is how are you going to communicate to them? So like, for example, first-time home buyers, move-up sellers, or even, a marriage. What are the ways that you're going to communicate to them, right? So that one of the things I love, on this is think about your hooks. Think about the different ways that you're going to start putting in place to be able to engage these people in conversations, right? Because I think that one of the pieces that agents miss when they go through the goal setting and business planning piece of it is start looking at those particular numbers where, from the transactions to how many contacts and how many conversations do I need to put myself into, right? So if I'm going to, for example, start with geographical farming, or I want to expand my geographical farm. All right, well, I already know that if there's 100 homes and the turnover rate in this particular area, per the last 3 years is an average of 6%. Well, that means of 100 homes, 6 of them are going to sell their house, right? Maybe now I need to expand to another area, or, my influence of where they are going to have, I want to grow my transaction, so now I'm going to go to 300, right? Same 6%, so that's going to be 18 homes, right? So what do I need to do to put myself in that communication, right? Thinking about selling your house, why not start off with a cash offer, right? So like these are the types of hooks that I want you guys to start, thinking about. How am I going to communicate with that said lead source? First-time home buyer, right? Tired of the high prices? Work with me and I'll show you how to, buy your house, at a 10% discount, right? Like, again, I'm just kind of shooting off the cuff here for you guys. So think through those things and make sure that you really start, kind of communicating the unique value proposition, right? Like what are those unique value propositions, or better known as hooks, right? To be able to make sure that people scan your QR code, respond to your text, engage in a conversation with you, or come into your open house. And again, these are all things from people that you possibly don't know. But I also want to challenge you from the people that you do know and you already have their contact information. Real estate is very much so based on scale, right? If you want to go after and do big things, You have to put out a message to a broad audience that engages them so that we can pull them back in and we know how to talk with them and engage them in a conversation so that you have that real unique hook. Even though you sold them a house 5 years ago, right? You now have them on the Zoodealio AI home report, and you're seeing all of the the systems capturing that they're looking at the different cash offers for a certain amount of time. They're engaging in the offer. They just talked to Z, the AI, right? These are all things that are now coming back to you. The system is operating at scale for you and your business, and you're now getting these opportunities because the system is indicating that you need to call them, right? So these are the types of things that, I want you guys to be thinking about on how are you going to have that unique value proposition, what is going to be your offer, and how are you going to, communicate with them at particular scale, right? And then also understand that funnel process as we go through this. I want to encourage you to think about, we're going to touch on this here in a second, but is some of the cost and budget, right? So like mail can be very expensive. Email is very reasonable. So if I can, mail out to them and they scan my QR code and I now register them and capture their information and their email. Well, not only that, email is dynamic, the postcard is static, right? You want to pull them into something that is dynamic about them and their house, right? That's where, again, having that QR code that pulls them instantly into their AI home report to where now the system monitors them is going to be able to be, these are just things I want you guys to be thinking about on how they're going to help you solve the problem in a very big way. Okay, now, as we look through this, right, and we start setting up the plan, what is the lead generation strategy, right? What is that email and marketing cadence, right, that I just kind of like went over? Am I going to operate an online ad, right? So I'm going to touch on this one quickly because I may go into this a little bit more in the future. But for now, my online ads, for example, okay? Is this just something where I'm boosting a post to please a seller, right? Where I got a listing, hey, a house 1234 Main Street, boosted it, oh, got a bigger audience, right? You're paying Facebook to make sure that it gets blasted out, inside of a certain area. Nothing wrong with that. I've sold plenty of houses or created, lots of leads by doing those things. However, what I want you guys to be thinking about is what is that actual, goal for you to create the attention. So if I'm going to create, drop a pin, geographical pin around my office, with a 10-mile radius or 20-mile radius, whatever the minimum is right now. What is that audience that I'm going to be setting so that people are in there? Then from there, am I going to run like a one-click lead form that pulls them into a lead magnet that I'm getting, right? Buy a house and save 10%. Get my free guide now, right? And then you kind of take them through that process. So these are the types of things I want you guys to be thinking about as you kind of go through and fill this out. Okay, so now your sphere of influence. How big is that? What do you want to grow it to, right? Like these are the types of things that I think are huge and one of the biggest missed opportunities that we have out there. Just giving you a simple, equation, right, is that the national turnover rate ranges anywhere from 4 to 6% in most given years, right? Can be a little bit less, can be a little bit less, can be a little bit more. So if you have 1,000 people, right, or 1,000 homeowners, well, 4% of those people are going to, sell their house that particular year. Well, that ends up being, 40 transactions. And then from there, half of those people are also going to buy a house. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to win over 100% of them because maybe, half of those people are kind of loose contacts, et cetera. But what I want you guys to implore you to be thinking about is what value proposition are you going to bring to them that's going to allow you to get to know them, so that they start to like you and trust you, right? So that you can become their agent when it comes time for them to buy and sell that house, right? Again, so I want you to start with math, but then we solve, and increase my conversion by understanding that this is a relationship-based business. What is my strategy going to be to, engage them in conversation and then, of course, build that relationship with them? Right? And that's taking us into this next piece, right? So content creation. This is one of the things that, again, I cannot tell you guys the amount of times that this has worked for where people are just consistent in posting, where maybe you're not having a direct, yes, I want this, or raising their hand from your post. However, these are people that and this is just some of the casual posting strategy that you're talking about, something that's changing in the marketplace. You're posting, one of the images from the Zoodealio library, and then you run into the people at, a kid's birthday party, a soccer game, in the convenience store, what have you. And then now they're bringing up these types of things where, hey, I saw this post, can you tell me more about it? Right? Where maybe they didn't necessarily comment on it, but it now put you in a great conversation because of an action that you took 3 months ago. Right? So these are the types of things. Remember that when we're consistent, we want to stay top of mind and tip of tongue. And these are the types of things that will allow us to also build that better relationship, right? And that's also why we want to make sure that we're posting some, natural personal stuff as well, not always just business and hammering them with those types of things, right? That allows us to start focusing and looking at that relationship piece. Okay. Email campaigns, what do we want to do to communicate the value proposition that we are bringing to them so that it engages them? I want us to really be thinking about getting away from some of the, I think, just lost on a lot of buyers, pester type emails, right? I know it's a popular one, which is why I use that, right? Where, in day 25 of hammering somebody, 2 or 3 times a day, and calling them and saying, hey, we see that you've been looking at 1234 Main Street. You want to go take a look at it this Saturday, right? Those are the types of things I think sometimes that helps, or not helps, makes people turn you off. So find a way to, really bring value to your clients from things that they want, such as, home facts, how their home value is changing, their equity, what are some options. If you ever thought about renting your house, you ever thought about Airbnb your house, right? Like those are the types of things I think that people maybe, if they're not looking at it, every single month, right, depending on the homeowner, they'll be looking at it quarterly, right? These are the types of things where people, just like anybody with a, Fidelity or a Robinhood account, they're constantly looking at that because it's really their, those are assets, stocks, crypto, et cetera, right, that they're looking at. Well, this is that same type of situation where people are going to want to be looking and monitoring what is their greatest asset and their equity, and those types of things, and knowing where they're at on a position. Okay, kind of cruising along here, our tools and tech. This is a huge piece, right? How many people, maybe you want to make a CRM change. What systems and tools are you going to use to help you achieve your goals? This is a big one, right? I think that this is underutilized because so many times, agents that I know I work with, right? They shy away from certain things just because it's a new territory and they don't want to learn it. Well, first of all, lean on your partners to help you set these things up so that your leads, right, can almost be automated. That's what I love about, today's modern technology is when you do this correctly and all of these things I'm talking about, you're almost going to never have to cold lead generate, and you'll almost always be able to warm lead generate, right? You can put out a unique value proposition to the marketplace, let them engage with it, and then that's your conversation starter. Right? It's very, very simple. Hey, Jerry, saw that you were checking out, how to buy your house in cash. It's a really cool, unique opportunity. And with, a lot of things going on and shifting this year, I think this could be really a tremendous opportunity to buy a house now, get a good deal, and the equity is going to just absolutely soar, over the next couple of years. Right? So these are the types of things that you can start planting those seeds and watering them, and using your tools and your tech to be able to help you get your message out at scale. Like I said before, when we have big goals and we want to do big things, you must use tools to scale out your message to a broader audience. And the beautiful thing is, guys, when you do this right, your return on investment, it can be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50x, right? It's a beautiful thing. Okay. All right, so now, kind of like planning around and thinking about the budget piece, like I was saying before, what are some of the marketing expenses going to be, right? So in order for me to do 50 deals, right, let's just say as an example, and this year I did 37 and I want to grow by 13, all right, well, what did I actually spend on marketing right now? Okay, well, I know that I'm going to, that's roughly a 15% increase, and I know that I'm going to need to increase my marketing, expense 20%, as an example, to give myself some room for that. So am I going to, how exactly am I doing that? Am I going to do that from my commission checks? Am I putting 20% into a marketing fund? Right? And then operational expenses. Where are you at in your business? Do you want to hire your very first assistant? Do you want to hire an ISA? Do you want to expand on the ISA? Do you need to hire another assistant? Do you want to hire a showing assistant, which may become a very big thing this year, is one of my personal predictions. Is I think that, years ago we saw that kind of really come about, and I think it's going to start coming more and more this particular year. And then of course, I think this is another one, touch on it briefly, but is the education and sharpening your skills, right? What type of conferences are you going to go to? How are you going to become a better agent that's going to set yourself apart? I know that's one of those things that's always hard for a lot of us to break away our business and go spend $1,500, plus hotel and plus, et cetera, on a conference. But the reality of it is, if we go there with a plan, like we're talking about here, what are the 3 things that I want to learn to be able to take back and put into my business? Again, you usually make your money back in spades from the investing in yourself, right? Because these are things that will stay with you forever as you really start to grow and expand your business. Okay. This is one for me personally years ago. So I did a lot of goal setting and, kind of checking in accountability, but it probably wasn't until 5-6 years for me personally, that I started actually holding my expenses, kind of accountable, right? I was so focused on just if I needed more, close more deals. If I needed to close more deals, make more contacts. If I needed to make more contacts, elevate my lists, right? And my quality. Right, that it was a simple framework that I followed, but here's the reality of it, right? If you are not working smart and not holding your dollars accountable, right? To me, I tell my kids this: money's alive, and if you disrespect it, it will leave you. And I truly believe that that's very true even in this situation where we need to hold our dollars accountable. So what are, my advertising budget? What's the lead generation? What are the things that are actually bringing me return? So for example, if I'm having, a lead source that I'm spending, $300 a month on, and I didn't close a deal from it, maybe I closed 2 deals from it in 23 or 4 deals from it in 23. I'm maybe going to hang on to it because I got, 2 or 3 leads, but none matured in 24, but possibly one will come this year, right? So this is where I want you guys to just be thinking about holding those particular, pieces accountable and actually running a profit and loss on a monthly basis, right? So meaning, how much money did I bring in? How much money did I spend? And which items from systems, right? Meaning tech tools, are actually creating conversations, giving you, deals and putting you in home selling conversations or home buying conversations, right? Representing buyers. And then from there, of course, what are the team members, right, that are going to really help you leverage yourself out there? Now, one of the big things I think that's out there that a lot of agents do and fall short on is that they'll delegate a lot of ISA stuff, right? I think that's actually one of the things that agents should really be taking back. There's nobody that's better to talk about your market than you. Part of one of the ways to stay the sharpest knife in the drawer is to hold yourself accountable and know that you're going to be talking to people that you haven't met, and you want to win their, influence them and show them your skills in the marketplace, and you must stay on top of the market to be able to do that. Right? So whether you're talking to them about selling their house or helping them buy a house, what are particular rates? What are strategies that you can do to get their home sold in a time frame that makes sense? Right? How can you remodel their house with no money out of pocket, and then they get all of the proceeds? Right? These are engaging types of things that there's nobody better to have that conversation than you. Where so many agents, they're paying for all these leads, getting a bunch of leads. They're offshoring their ISAs. Right? They're yes, I'll take a cash offer, right? Then they step in. The reality of it is I'm going to challenge that from that list. If you were the one making some of those calls, you would be able to convert better than that person. So look at sometimes, offloading some of the administrative stuff potentially first, right? What that looks like for you and your business, it's tough for me to say, but again, I just want to challenge you to be thinking about realizing that, lead generating and doing those types of things, whether it's setting up intelligent marketing campaigns, what is your highest dollar producing activities? Then that's really what you should be doing 80% of the time, right? So again, think about your business like that. Realize that you are the rainmaker and you are the one that needs to be pulling that money in. Okay, so again, cruising along here in this goal setting, business planning worksheet. What is your weekly schedule going to look like? Again, I think this is one of those ones where agents will set a goal, then they don't hold themselves accountable from, I need to generate 2 or 3 clients, good new prospects per week. Well, how are you going to go about that? I don't know. I'm going to post and, make some calls here and there, whatever else. Well, hey, let's declare. And again, those of us that, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. as an example, I'm going to be working on, putting out a post, and then I'm going to be working my leads from 12 to 2. Right? These are ways that we are going to get really clear where we are going to be putting ourselves in these positions. So declare your schedule. When are you going to be working on generating new clients, and when are you going to be working on converting already existing prospects? Those are 2 separate things as I see it, and I want you to be thinking about your business in this worksheet that way as well when you go through this. Okay, and then the next one here. Time actually spent with clients. This is something, again, I think that gets lost. I know I made this mistake. When you start to go on a lot of listing appointments, occasionally you'll run into that person that wants to, have you over 2 and 3 times, and each time they want to have a cup of coffee and an hour and a half meeting or 2-hour meeting, right? They want to talk about all kinds of stuff, and it's almost like your entertainment as well as their, home selling advisor. So make sure that you kind of declare when you do that. Again, giving you guys kind of like a pro tip inside of that. Sometimes when you just state to them, hey, just want to let you know up front, I got about 45 minutes and I want to be very purposeful with our time. So I want to dive right in if that would be okay with you, right? Like that's sometimes you set the context and you show them that you're the pilot when, that they're here and you're going to get them from point A to point B in a very successful manner when you take that type of action. Okay. Again, how can we delegate? Who can assist us with tasks like marketing, admin work, or even showings, right? Like I said before, that's one of my predictions this year for higher producing agents. I think we're going to be really start seeing, with so many, no buyer agent compensation. And, right now the market has absolutely favored buyers agents and paying that. If that inventory starts to, compress a little bit more, demand starts to spike, rates drop, you're going to start seeing a lot of people go directly to the listing agent because it's going to be more conducive to that environment. So maybe listing agents, right? You're going to not be working with a buyer's agent, right? You're going to be taking those calls directly, and you're going to not be able to do that. So you're going to need a showing assistant, and maybe that showing assistant is going to be a licensed agent that you're going to pay hourly or 0.5%, 1%, that's going to lasso those buyers in for you, right? So that, again, those are the types of things that I foresee happening this year as the market really starts to pick back up. And these are uncharted territories, right? We've never been in this. Of course, we've been in strong seller markets, but strong seller markets with no buyer agency compensation on the MLS, right? That hasn't existed yet, and so this is potentially, I think, going to happen in the second half of 25, and I think we'll learn a lot, about that. Okay, now I think these last 2 parts. Are understated of importance. So many, first of all, I think it's, I don't remember exactly what the stat is, but it's like less than 30% of agents actually set some type of goal, right? I know it's lower than that, but set goals in general, right? So now that you set goals, are you actually reviewing them? Because again, don't make this mistake. People that put their goals in front of them and keep them in a place where they see them on a weekly or even a monthly or even weekly basis, which I think is smart, or even daily, right? I personally have my goal board up in my closet in my house, right? Like I have, goals that are set throughout the year. Some of them, big, hairy goals, and some of them are just simple, things that I need to do, right? Go to the gym a certain amount of times per week, right? Like these types of things that are just action plan type things, because it aligns with my North Star, right? What's my one thing that I need to do so that it aligns with my bigger goal, right? Keep them in front of you so that they stay, so you stay accountable, as far as that goes. So what are those things as we go through this review process? What is this going to look like to you? Do yourself a favor, share this with an agent, inside of your office, or even maybe somebody on your team. These are the types of things that you have. You have the frameworks here. So the last bit I want to kind of touch on is the whole staying focused, right? It's understated in the why, right? There's a great book out there, Simon Sinek's Start With Why, right? The whole point of that is it's actually a sales book in Start With Why. What he's talking about is start with why from the consumer. Why do they want to buy it? Why are they doing what they're doing? Ultimately, what problem are you solving, right? Seth Godin type thing. It's said in so many different ways and just kind of spun with different verbiage. So when we start looking at your why, right, you need to sell yourself from these actions. And if this is a worksheet that's, to me, really worthy of you, sometimes it should be intimidating, right? Is this a comfort goal or a stretch goal? And I want to challenge you to, put stretch goals out there. 2025 is going to be a year of tremendous opportunity. Stretch yourself, and the rewards will be yours. So why are you doing this, right? Is it kids? Is it time? Is it peace of enjoyment, right? What is the reason why we need to peel this back and do the small things, the small and simple things on the day in and day out process, right? What is the daily repetition that can be very boring, very mundane, that we need to do so that after 365 days cruises by, right, that one day in the, 84,600 seconds that we go through every single day, that can be boring by making those same 25 phone calls to the same 25 audience, right? It's very easy. I don't feel like it today. I was out too late last night. Don't feel like making my call. Well, you need to uncover why it's important so that you get into action on that and get it done. Okay, then, of course, this is one of the big things. Setting goals and writing them down are two separate things. My challenge for you guys is after you fill this out, do something fun, right? Whether it's, on pieces of paper at your desk, put in, 2 or 3 of your favorite goals that you have here. Usually your transactions count, your listing amount, and your GCI. Right? Put those things right there in front of you. And then, of course, if you want to put in your little, your steps of the how and the why underneath each particular one, put it in a place where you see it. If you work, like I said, if it's at your desk at home, your desk in your office, maybe in your closet, wherever, a place that you can see it consistently. And then the next thing is talk about your goals, right? Don't just write them and put them out there, right? This is one of those things that maybe at first starts to get us a little bit uncomfortable. But find, somebody in your office. If you're a solo agent, talk to somebody in your office and, see who else is really wanting to do this. I'm sure your office has a private Facebook group. Put it out there. Hey, anybody interested in being a goal buddy this year, right? Or maybe that you already have somebody you have in the office. Take them out for coffee and be like, hey, I really want to stretch myself this year, and I've enjoyed working with you, and I wondered if you would like to do this, with me as well, where you're still going to operate your business, et cetera. I'll operate mine, but what I'd like to do is kind of set these goals, go through this particular worksheet, and then, I would like to, have you declare yours to me, I'll declare mine to you, and then from there we can kind of review them, on a monthly basis if that's something that you're interested in, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to find like-minded people, because without a doubt, we are the common denominator of the 5 closest people to us, right? Remember that. I believe that's, Darren Hardy, a Darren Hardyism. Okay, and then the last one is, this whole mastermind piece. This, to me, is one of the biggest impactful things I've ever done in my business. The amount of relationships, in my previous sports career, there was mastermind people, right? People I wanted to be around that, I just learned so much from on how to play the game better, how to, pitch different, those types of things. But anyways, around business piece of it, we want to, who's moving in the same direction, whether they've achieved the goal that you're going after, or they are at the same trajectory, right? I don't not necessarily, this is why I want to be very clear on this. Who can you mastermind with? Find a group of, similar goals and focused type individuals, type people, right, that you want to really align with, so that as you guys face some of the same, hurdles, you'll be able to approach them together, right? That's the beauty of it, right? So whether it be from transactions, whether it be a new lead source territory that you guys are trying to tear into, right? So like, for example, let's say that you guys both want to tear into geographical farming, right? You want to deploy the Zoodealio's AI home report, through the postcard. People scan in, they opt in, and you're going to grow your database, in a massive way. Obviously, you don't want to work the exact same area, but what I'm getting at that you may want to do is what is the hook that worked for that particular postcard that got the most scans, right? Then from there, after you're getting that, what is the conversation that after they started to engage the home report, what was that first conversation line that got you into the most conversations, right? These are the types of things that you can use in that networking and masterminding buddy, that maybe they're working in one section of the city or one subdivision and you're working another, right? These are the types of really cool things. Or maybe it's an expired, right? Maybe you're using some of the scripts inside of the Zoodealio library that's really working, well, and you're putting a certain spin on it, right? So these are the types of things I want you guys to be thinking about, is when it comes to masterminding is hey, I'm here and I want to get here. How do I get here quicker? What's the system that you're using? What's a lead generation source that you're using? Here's my problem. How are you solving it, or how would you solve it, right? That's, again, throw another one at you. You want to go somewhere, fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together, right? And I think that that's exactly where this type of stuff comes from. Okay, so I know that I hammered you guys with a lot of information today. Do me a favor. As you go through this, I would love the feedback, right? Does this work for you? What did you guys think about this particular worksheet? And then from there, if you want to share it, back with us at Zoodealio, we would love to align and see where you're at. So this is a tremendous opportunity for you to step into that growth mode right away, where, hey, it's basically the first, last week was kind of the first week, but, still the holiday. But this is like the first week where a lot of people are really stepping back into normal business, and it's time to get after it. So what I want to do is, of course, wish everybody a great and, happy, wonderful, safe 2025. I'm super optimistic about what's going on this particular year. I love where so much opportunity is coming. I think, again, it's just going to be a great year. I think that there's a lot of pent-up demand, and right now it is really a great time for the, professional agent to step up and shine. So don't let this opportunity pass you by. Take actions, get clear on what you want, get clear on what you want to create, declare what you want to create, keep it in front of you, and, get after it. And then, as always, thank you so much for attending. Remember to like or subscribe, depending on where you're seeing this, and we'll see you on the next one. Again, Happy New Year, and have a safe 25. Thanks so much, everyone.